astronaut program, space stations over our solar system, and far out in space, the stations of Atlantis, and others cut off multinational world astronauts flying towards them, deep systems stranded, trapped, station power failures, system ruined, hard to get to, cut off, and outer deep space, moon, Mercury, high altitude, transit system stations. Station Atlantis is connected to another station having 100,000 people growing. Astronauts from different ships sent to help stranded, and some astronauts seemed alien to Earth, modified Earth craft, but were people, tight fit, look stranded. Lead astronaut Matt, Kenneth, James, Ron, Chris, Ken. They held together long-range systems, the deep probes sent to reach them, sleek ships and shuttle rockets. These stations depend on the need cargo, repair, technical things. All systems depend on each other. There was wrecks in rockets, shuttles. The stranded or stuck in space astronauts lost the old-fashioned sleek space Delta craft that launched flying through the systems, the old space system being repaired, exploring belts of deep Mercury-type worlds at a level of space. Polar space lands need the stations for weather control support. Over the side beyond international Russia was an English colony embedded of royalty, connected the royalty of a modern, a Russia, a rift from them to here, gap underground, monarchy, palace, queen, Romana, thousands of years older. The other language Russians or broke off segment far from our Russian and outskirt natives, crown and actors, cartoon space shows from the palace bunker, great ancestry, the family ran it. Cartoons of a girl in a cold land, language translator, static signals came to our planet through the Rift language and broadcast to Beltway foreign systems describing frigid foreign lands, peoples. Colorful cartoons. The polar lands needed space support weather control. The cartoons depicted this, the connected frozen rifts, and a massive snowstorm was hitting the outer lands. The star stations kept ice worlds alive. Cartoons depicted this. Tower, ground elevator systems, rift, transitway. A Space Force mission was in, contacted, flashed, then some warmth flaring, moving a sun to create heat, pulling it from a host of suns to peer out, bringing warmth to many lands. The station Atlantis, the Atlantis station connected to the cold lands. On the way back, assisted them in complex robotic remote repair upgrade. The lead astronauts, they remotely accelerated their craft, pinging then back, sending them waves of power to take off, guide them to dock, and guide rescue craft from other systems assisting, updating information deltas, computer lightning fast diagnostics, printing out repair items in a split-second, rescue engineering signals like a tractor beam brought them in, giving power for others to help rescue them, gravity boost, docking in ports to rescue them, leaving need cargo segments to start, heated craft left to warm the polar lands, transfused into power cell energy, electricity heat. Seeing towers above the planets on the polar rim, big high altitude space tower stations flying at night in the polar worlds, parking the segments with large shuttle crew port stations, craft flying in and out, international broader English Latin country sledge of international Earth flatlands, mountain flat sledges stretching under belts of outer Earth. Local international Earth countries rarely flew out here. The dimensional flat beltway going beyond the sun, the rifts connected. Russian International Galactic Navy explored its oceans in the rifts on the second side or second sun to us. The particle accelerator red light beams made it easier, a breakthrough in science. Made us outer international Russia post-dominant and helped the impossible cold lands. Every small state with its international territory regions, secret lands above are further. The sci-fi programs were just extended zones of that with international, with nothing to do with local people of Earth. Brims outside Earthland, galactic craft suppressed in hot zones, protecting lands, indigenous peoples all around the international Earth poles, lower lands connected through hidden mountain regions to Earth, cold, dark camouflage, and forests where air forces had bases. Yet our long-range satellites could strike them beams, space missiles would disarm them. Presidents, space, Earth, galactic leaders, international were exposed online in leaks. People voted to sabotage systems that held higher lands hostage. The Space Force boasted accelerated space beams could disarm all alien threats. Now that the space disaster system was found and online, the advanced country's space program of NASA directions in the international zone leading to the local U.S. NASA Alabama. Advanced, modern, protected, strict other populations and countries, the other worlds around Earth acted friendly when we had space red light accelerators and a little boy discovered the secret motors, drafts, and things drives accelerators of light space engines he designed with family, writing well over 100 written pages. He stayed in his regions, international zones, and ports traveling during the time Plymouth base Earth was an English and an African subcontinent of international Earth. Old TV shows showed history and space tech engineering engines, cartoons for the future. The boy watched his ancestry. Mom was from there, living in a Plymouth brown mineral rich farm, rock surviving when it heated over in a trench 1,000 years ago. The space accelerators would restore it, but it was risked main systems on a space launch. The mission sped accelerators every got black hole or star point energy that they would be more powerful than all the universe accelerators. The speed in the drive accelerators, super speed, nothing it couldn't do for perplex singularity was it was strong enough to cross the radiation belt's gulfs. Modern version of Atlantis Station were made over international space and deep international space, and advanced modern places higher space ones stations, alien spacecraft made by advanced people engineering complex gyro stations bigger than worlds, controlling weather, space traffic, the far out astrological astronaut stations in deep high space masses. Points high in altitude compared to the lower universe, the deep universe space lost stations above needed energy, flight tech. Could the new beam get there to save them? And the universe stations that the old-fashioned Atlantis ships now wrecked and depleted out of service could only get to long-range mission in jeopardy. Astronauts like Mark Vance and other ships stranded trying to help a dying system, ancient by now, transit trade system Atlantis, like ships wrecked in high universe dimensional space rockways, falls to the voids, Space Force mission, rescue operations daring to cross universal space, the straight, slip, smooth accelerator time ships, international galactic NASA ships, lost drive, stuck in space, lost in deep void missions, Space Force mission, fly by rescue, restart stations, restored, able to reach in and speed beam lanes, transit systems came online, though these things the director revived afterward, making him very rich programs, funding deep universal scope probes in higher space universe away above programs, needed space beams to stay out, fuel sending cold dark space back to eat Earth, hiding dimensions, deep station, tremendous speed like controlled missile out of control, vast but stable. Flying like this, gaining more speed for hours, having to back off until reaching the super unexplored galaxy high worlds, going to up quarry stations, massive worlds in high pressurized space go up, they station drive-by, gaining their speed back into a void of speed, curving up to gain speed to head back, making jumps in alien galaxy vortex, pulling the craft's waves, engine time ripples well above light speed, stopping only to tour alien galaxies while moving, phasing by with flight suits, jetpacks at stations, and the craft in shield platform connected outside a static field running at 1% protected. The craft systems gaining power, life support, shield, jetpack running around craft shielded by aliens to restart station stock out for support energy. Resets. The mission began deep outer galactic points worlds. That was the test run. We have to do this again in deep space and shut around uncharted curved gravity readings in space to gain speed back, which might take a day, so they did again much speedier, passing intergalactic station points, static scope view from here out. On the way back, the director received out here the crossed intergalactic heart of the galaxy, high shifting space moons, picking Bob and his astronauts with their small convoy link craft on way back. The ship's extra power drive made it possible carrying them up here to find help. Milky Way galactic neighbors, their galactic drives only came on emergency, now working to the max station links. Probes from their craft helped navigation. The Nazic lines in space is in this voidway, eclipse void desert lands with farms in space, UFO farmers, and outer desert UFO lands. Below the void belt, beneath the voids connected to star vortex belts outside the galaxy, radio signals from NASA probes, radio sent from house scopes NASA director houses to them, communicating through space stars, reflective imagers, missions to space for tell a hot star, periplex white death, powerful white field. No one could cross in the light worlds to the beyond connections, rich farmlands. The boy in the house learned the inspired to invent deep in it. Space Force mission flew over alien lines in space radio station points. They marked failing. The mission crossed much worse radiant fields, broader, heavier, impenetrable, except they used the star particle accelerator field, seeing these stations in lower radiant light mercury colored heavy radiant energy power zone, but broke it outer engines really. The internal drives and broadcast create a field and harness energy radiance, pushing it out. Light relays converters into energy acceleration, magnetic power pole field diverted a broadcast field around light. Acceleration motors on ship, dimorphic engines, light accelerators, drives, vortex engines hung on outside ship with gears run on accelerator, red plasma light, and blast galactic engine drives, thruster, plasma, warp engines keep the systems going at high blast speeds. In flight groove, mass speed increase, gravity wave engine steered the ship straight. The emergency fields came on and flux motors, thrusters create a field around ship from energy, inversing the field onto ship to protect its shields, fire light beams around ship. If there was enough power, emergency blasts create emergency thruster, critical mode, opening up shaft energies, power explode to bomb thrust, disruption generator, light field explosions, flare out, more field, shield walls, protected PBS cartoon depicts aliens trying to cross star barriers on vast cylinders, galactic star worlds under the light side so bright to cross a starlight field, a galaxy full of light around stars, buzz energy, light wall, static disruption, saying how impossible and they should go elsewhere. Houses with light shield benefit with this technology. The North Atlantic Police Detective Migration Stations, the family in the most southern district of the North Atlantic in the thick forest native territories, had another family member, a Scots Atlantic man, Dave Allister, a night's watchman for the detective store's crossing zone foreign airline monitor, or for the boy. His family came from up north, the border between Canada and the United States. In one range had a joint northern province, the branched off into another range, two directions going up across from the border, family stretching to the mountains above Alaska, the camouflage mountains that go above Earth into the belts of space, above the poles being landscaped by companies tearing the forest down, trying to turn it in, and its unstable mountains into an asteroid belt for Mars. Houses that reached into stations above Earth where the boy came about between time zones, having Christmas cookies, fudge celebrations in northern lands with twins of his now mom playing his mom. Their friends up north drove there with their family to buy the northern boxes of fruit, round fruit at the stores. The boy at night stayed and watched shows with Dave. The friends helped the new mom get along, coming over watching these to the South foreign shows. Grandfather had a house up there, and his twin sibling from another land from the second family the boy stayed with for Christmas before he was born. Parallel versions living up north where Canada, U.S. had a secret Air Force command. The flight district went to Germany. He was staying over for the trips he had taken for preschool learning clubs. Other Clara girls and Ambers migrated across the world to the northernmost lands from the volcano worlds on the north side, with Germany tunnels cross worlds family. Dual time zones. This was near a children's district. Children flooded the floors of stores getting baby children's soap and fruits, toys, games. All migrants were taking these people's sovereignty, flooding this migration zone, which is why the family hid some of their land for themselves, distracting migrants, Africans coming over claiming to be from European African zones. Migration, what made American a melting pot? Internationals, what did bring money, but it was clear some didn't like our family. Most we got on well with. The corrupt governments, police from other districts took over, claiming to be on the north of the Civil War, giving them the right to violate all rights and wills of the people. The family group of police were moved out by the ones who locked up children and drugged them for whining, and not a family group, and they took down the family Catholic nursery systems in hospitals for family and children's daycares. It was clear they would root out the frontiersmen and claim they were Americans of the first group or Canadians. The shipments are being cut off, done through locals, traded but unseen on direct market. We thought maybe if we helped out their country, they would need to come here, but that got nowhere. Defund our secret space program. Our NASA programs in the travel zone was outer belt range way over the ocean, a port zone for other space land international flights. They had a grandpa, a young second family living on the high north backside facing off the edge of the range world, and his families which migrated south, and the further south high Atlantic belts far above our solar system, way deep in the high mountains in connection with the moon project, where the family lived in double second moon, part that camouflaged by telescope looked the same but were the other moon that was uninhabited. The rim beneath mountains above international Earth connected the gap to the outer ridge moon and the international high moons outside the systems, like Skyro moon, a mined out cave moon lived in by miners not far from our system. To a traveler, it was the greater solar system international, and that may be why we went to the moon, was because we were already there and it was just another unconquerable great mountain that they needed a radio base nearby surveyed. These system galactic moons were different. The other solar outer system moons or greater system had stations, radio towers, people lost who explored those, but their family had famous relatives who were there, and the dark side of the moon or moons intergalactic moon mission outside the galactic point region, high up big sand moon with giant astronauts explored it first. People there, beaches without water, oceans, but where of moon tide rifts, vapor, water, gas, vast galactic sized moons, lost astronauts, space heroes, Space Force missions saved the galactic Earth was a sight to behold. Caves on its underside go down to subspace oceans, beds, antiquity. Beaches on the edge of the northwest, latter side on ground. It's different from the spinning planet. Beaches, oceans on a cliff above Earth. Cartoons from these places talk about civilization stories, characters from the other worlds. The forest between had a very tall tree, thick, yet Earth was like a little region in the ranges, a nursery, a club for environment learning, school zones, redistricting, power decided the course of their life. Our universe had power. Our universe had power. Our star points were closed, the grid destroyed for real, interstellar travel. The space freight corporations stopped for the environments driven to get out pollution. They learned to warp instead of space travel, instant warp. They would walled off our sector, ancient Roman worlds in ruin. They had basic low space mining flight on the fringe worlds near star mines who was in control. The better things are kept in the back of everything, whether it's space-time, the weather, the grocery stores you shop in. The families never really knew each other, were being split apart by international lines, laws, systems, time zoning. The old networks costing a lot separated the north of outer Earth from inner, pollution destroying farms. There must be another way for us to be trapped in the city-country power system grids broken to where we are cut off from each other. I belong to this world. It is crazy to speak up, but to God who made it, it's one world. First God cuts man from Eden's side of earth and then divided in Peleg's day, countries, worlds, families, divided celebrations, traditions that got divided into bands of heat rays who placed the stations here in heat beyond measure of any kind or scale, even beyond infinity. The family tapes showed a great adaptation of heroic movies that got banned, home movies the government took. I remember such cartoons of heroes showed about those types of worlds, described outer worlds international as a child in a space family of a airplane old wreck in that star system. I was born there, already in control of timeless motion, the polar stations of stars. After traveling there, two peoples that believe in government are they now? It's the lie, religion, government, all the same thing, keeping you from the truth, the way, the life, Jesus. There is another dimension realm that was created from it. We are the floor of outside the cave. Where we live, we toured cave woods with our family, creek, lakes, shoreline. We traveled at first. When I came into the world's secrets of the land, German caves on our shoreline, secret locations, secret mountains taken over by spaceships hidden. The apple farm countryside of my neighbors growing up, they had workers, and we were given fresh apples there Growing up, my neighborhood worked with the aeronautic farmers and cleared forests for farms contractor, but owned the apple trees of the woods near Georgia, a cousin to my neighbor Jim. They all look similar from here. We were flown to different locations of our family. We spent our time watching 1940s videos, movies of Jesus, the Bible. Some older were silent, but they later added voice, and some films by our neighbors, which were made on the RIM system, someplace we never heard of. Details of Abraham, Ishmael, Isaac, and parallel stories adapted the Bible of second branches of the family, depicting a history account for the time they lived in great explorers, men with alternate history of an evolving, changing world, frontier, and the frontier wars of outer worlds. Natives also, movies, blockbusters of jungles or distant lands, countries, characters, comedies, kids' cartoons, and a list of cartoons and shows with alien superheroes, cartoons in the morning, children cartoons, and Christmas videos. Many things that today you can't traditionally find. Some non-Hollywood from a different side of Earth, and home movies with records audio to go with them, silent film heroes, shows, or beloved characters from the olden days, public broadcasts of shows from the other side of Earth, beloved heroes or characters, educational shows, but strange, and comedy acts, education, yet shows teaching stories, things about the beloved characters' world, strange, and our collection of astronaut tapes, films, and NASA videos, which have been pulled from public view stations, mission, technical, advanced theories, planes, and heroes of the day, astronauts, and sports tradition that don't exist in our side of the world, but seem local. Sports heroes, legends, great games on the videos that have been erased from our history, including history of outer earth lands, legends, sports games we listened to on the radio with our grandpa. We didn't know our Alabama tradition existed in another province due to Mandela effects erasing our history. Whole sports tournaments similar to the Olympics every 8 years for ball games, your local tradition playing in them for anniversaries, star championships, long history, international soccer, outer provinces sports, and international channels in football, basketball, and local sport channels covered exclusive events for challenges and their sports clubs, and military sports games where pros played legendary games and college could enter to play them in the tournaments, early division tournaments for our traditional team mixed with regular games, and from the league international world champions medals as a different venue brought into it all-star baseball leagues, legend football, basketball tournaments, couple weeks, but it could be played out earlier in a week if you're good enough. Records to be set and broken, making your slandered college look like high school division football. Rest when they win for some years and play lower division. Level, the different lower ranked side of teams with the right networks of people. These games could become greater than Super Bowl or even Olympic events combined. The fans were growing, but isolated games shown on TV like mock games done by local networks. Reality, it was about international pride and how you could combine teams with their provinces and territories and teams. Many people go to sports clubs to watch, most persons or on boards, but television was coming along on the military channels, which were restricted, and the ancient games with military and ball games, 1,000 year, some say 1,000 older, outer provinces were about to have the match for the title national international games. The 8th year was coming, worth legends of decades, bragging rights, players of top excellent caliber came together. International Sports Network turned on for some satellite packages. But leadership presidents did not like it. Nothing they could do. The international weather was good, could lower teams rise high. Sports traditions in the families were watched heavily. Many family members connected to our heritage played in such games and athletic events. It appears after years of being the baby in the family, I would settle into a pretty normal life, playing, doing homeschool in my neighborhood with my friends, but what awaited me, reviving many times, and things I remember which I did know but never considered would seem crazy to others. It's like the places I knew, the things happening where, under different systems, gravity, perhaps it was the land workers' secret machines that allowed it to exist. Our video collection of movies from this world system, or our current system similar to the other movies, different, more dramatically done, was a large collection that we shared with our neighbors. We were movie addicts, but spent a lot of time outside playing in our jungle woods backyard. Many friends, cousins came over, and we watch unheard of shows, classic hero filled, timeless science fiction, but seemed to be in a category of that all to its own. It didn't seem like science fiction traditionally. Many comedies brought over, and flicks not on traditional markets. So yes, there are second family relatives here in TV, but to the main Hollywood, it was small time, shunned from the traditional archives to much science knowledge or things in them, not PC politically correct, but they were far from political, so much I would trade my Hollywood 3,000 listed movies and shows I have seen for just a few of these, if not one. There was a trade war on movie markets that worked Hollywood and books, writers in all fields, categories of films, banned film category, words struck from dictionary to erase and oppress a group preachy of Hollywood, not the classic era of it, but modern. Have we been brainwashed and in our schools and learning books going missing, our technical smart category missing from all schools, and the advanced education programs classified, which is a crime. Programs that first theorized resurrection science, which later, by the 2020s, would be in the Space Force programs, a very real thing, and a preservation with spacecraft alien programs, time gravity tech. It really became possible to heal, reverse regeneration, and restore everyone. Special space coolant cold could reform, fuse together any damage, just like the Bible in the book of Ezekiel says, raise them up from the dust of the earth. Usually, space tram systems, launching stations, powerful transport stations in other galaxies had this. The UFO programs to cross stars, universe, galaxy, but most of these super galaxy deep spots, unexplored distance for normal Earth, hard to reach, unheard of alien galactic governments. Our atomic clocks are off by milliseconds every year. Not only that, but our seasons, due to global climate change, cosmic change with Planet X systems, comets, eclipses that aren't being counted on time the right way, international clocks being set wrong, calendar season change like more seasons, time being added, days being shortened like mentioned in the Bible, time experiments where if like in Alaska you have same 24 hours, night or day, long days, shorter days, season changing, time being shorter, power grids, using power world system to mess with for ground like cities, sunrises sooner by a fraction, and land clearing, altering time, space programs, stations, and cosmic black holes nearby the sun's gravity, affected, and solar energy by space events, and the stars stations in deep space affect our precognition of perception of time, and the heavens through star black holes speed accelerated cosmic energy. Shaking time, the motion of it, creating seasonal change. If we had a 13.5 month combined time, Christmas, the power companies and iron pot burning edge of solar system miners would ruin our atmosphere. New forward on time harness nature for mining power. People born on special years, location, times, days, hours during international space events, eclipses, time zoning, where the timelines get phantom time taken from them, add making them rounded to older. They deserve a leap week for their birthday, adding it to the years. Once frames are rotated around then by reference, it gets them cheated, reverse the zone of their true timeline frame. Older generations places time frames that are false. Atomic clocks being off means everything is off. Time can be dilated. Atomic superclocks are supported to tell real time. Power grid failures made this harder. Broken lands with different seasons. If you feel younger, you are. I have lived through seasonal days, but not the time, half the age, in reference at points. So when the drives for our grid are fixed working in the planet X sun stars, it creates a flux. Who knows? Ask a Russian and their outer territories, and knowledge is being increased. The Bible said knowledge would be increased and the days shortened. The order of child governments and criminal abusers try to control them, drug to change them for control. Culture, society attacks on youth, life, bad treating attacks by the system, which gets written off as minor but are very serious, life-altering, threatening, with health vaccines and prescription drug side effects to make them weaker, fatter, older before their time. They target smart people, control through Mandela effects, where people remember the same thing different and pieces going missing. Some X-Files stuff, sick people trying to control others, conspiracy theories run wild to hide the space secrets, even the times we live in, political control, mind drugs, memory drugs, causing forgetting lapses that the known millions taking those drugs to force these people are demonic in nature, and anyone doing that to someone for petty spite, pretenders. But to cover things up, it's used in mind control. Space military fit people are the target. It's a time political war for power, where good and evil are people in supporting murder of life harm. Why the good book said all of this world have sin, money, politics, not doing more, or standing up, being evil, afraid of the governments, corporation, the mob, human trafficking, deep state, country evil, empire systems worldwide, the police in bed with them. Not clever enough. These are the times why David was allowed to curse his enemies, and Jesus could parable the judgments over nations, convert missions to end such military power success. But the criminal network, covert hidden stealth group, needs to be displaced before they shut down the military covert operations. So through this international power system networks, online secret lands made by rich systems, the transport talk with outer worlds a part of this one. Bare countries, simple people, and simple monarchies call through space networks, each other make deals, distant space calls, foreign shows, translate all kinds of free information and spying, and world crises, seasonal calls for help with weather trouble. Online games play globalist otherworld strategies based on reality secret TV shows. On these network, announcements for space deep star exploration probes or missions and maps from space are released in foreign international hack systems leaked connected to Russian blue hot star zones. Missions on the screen. Taking down internet breaks. Space Force mission works in international field stations with them for space docking, exploration, testing, lost systems. But with the right guided missiles, launches and random successes can have mission successes, but at a high risk. High Milky Way lands, empires that folded, planetary defense asteroid tests, defense systems down during power systems failures, may be back online. Thanks to daring missions yet to be told, kept secret, leading to the old galactic lost programs. Restricted international packages were soon taken down, erased from our minds. TV hosts forgotten like it's a parallel world, leading to the ancient shows and foreign outer systems reaching us children, space, dimensional travel, superheroes, time travel, yet are reflected modernly classic epics lost. Whole space programs lost to history and the outer earth like a quarry hidden being lost, forest thick, dark. Our world was like this, stripped bare like the Eden basins of earth. Only bare dens on dry beds left, so many different locations, timeless families, ties, stories, the things they see, watch, computer talks between what seems to be world, system to God. It's one earth. To man that divide it is a solar system, a galaxy, which do exist but are more vast. So much parallel family heritage reminder in culture, lost inside a delusion. I have lived different lives in my family, different worlds, enjoyed the Christmas shows, giving thanks, cultures in the blink of an eye. So many more figures should be with us. I have had many faces through many lives, yet never counted more than a baby or never counted more than being a baby. Our RIM Space Force tries to draft sending letters many wilderness creeklands dry where a secret family starts a base on a hard system built into lands. The Force's Space Force Academy baselands dry, watching them survive. Corruption destroys worlds. Time military equipment for grids. Creating time military equipment for grids, creating alternate power points in people's lives, time rifts for babies, playing in the playrooms with rich astronaut families on top of the world, play their pre-development birth TV shows about that, incognito stories, mystery civilizations like that really cool best friend, NASA time travel play worlds, time transit ways for play grids, friends from lost memories you should saw back there. Knowledge increased of who you are. Smile at that random person. He might be with you, your best friend from another life. Covert family, hidden zones, high mountain, cold snow, tops with NASA air conditioning. Yet time dimensions disrupt. Is my life still there? A fun astronaut Matt Samuel with a sleek time dimensional traveling deep ship playing a young guy tries to help assist find other lost ships like his, complete his survey mission around the power systems to aid repairs of fixing vortex machine lost. TV stars, alien hero Space Force secret mission reached him, other vortexes, them home sooner, repairs signals from the singularity lost voids in deep space, flying around the band voids of the universe galaxy on the transitional void eclipse. Other ships like his lost stranded help deep star saved, deep space mission saved, and the astronauts in the program using accelerators knew go further in the universe in support of rescue missions. Like old-fashioned 60s and early programs, Legend Family astronauts, middle-aged, young fit, TV personalities, and accelerator blast out ships. Similar save disasters in some re-vortex to life power of the secret Space Force missions. Star-blazing void funnels, speeding, crossing dimensions above, enhancing our stations with accelerators and the high launch points, star points, unconscious in nature, cross-satellite contacts, transferred, run together. Our universal space program, saved mission, finish time to see what you're left, heaven power to. Them on top of our universe. The international shows doubted their shows until Super Space Force showed up, Miracle Run. The whole year's apart location, apart networks return in reunion. The system fixed oxygen, mountains, woods, play even at night, camping, heaven, sitting juvenile children, space development zones, wilderness children built their own lives as the parents suffered tragedy, work lost, restored now, but long time the child gets time transit passes, learning about the polar zones outside lower Earth, surviving peoples getting lost, hot craft, warmth from the space mission, and rain in desert dry places, light on dark places, rezone waters, distance, universe, abyss, ocean, falls, flows over, universal mass beyond measure or understanding, stations receive accelerator help from the speed of the ship and its accelerated engines, streaming light. Boat water in space, same water, airship spewing over, beyond the cliffs of the cold, dead sun rock, behind our Earth universe zones, suns crossing, star antennas on suns by Apollo old dead space systems, molten, rods, gold, sun mines, halo field, multi-dimensional craft comes out over the belts in the cartoon spoke about, accelerate, outland, a exodus as the gaps are opened and station craft complete repairs, acceleration heals enough to return off the trap zones, healing old 60s space program stations or earlier from families on hibernation missions, system restored, accelerator, food, water, the particle space accelerator that created water molecules, collected red accelerated fields, life-giving power ships, repairing broke according to reports, big radio calls, live updates, except for our world lower base beyond the gaps, peoples living free. Countries of upstanding reproof, heritage traveling the who's and where in the world, systems lost, beyond the cold sun stars, backside of the levee earthway, rift bar, the empire's tops, healed, lost their covert war, stood down as our local group country heritage system held. Darkly shin bar of Earth as asteroid planet-sized crater is blown off its outer shore, beach, edge of the planet, and as the divide is broken, rifts open, rain of life water. The dark bands, voids going into the other side of the void, vortex holes. In the base was waterfalls and wind shaft, lower worlds, barlands like dark cave, higher points. The universe going in are high super points in these caves, deltas was old German stations, international country, space stations, strange matter, affected people stations, lost other unraveled to life, survived, high galactic universal Milky Way stations receiving life, docking, flip by, accelerators them to life. In negative time, many universal stations, presidential party laws signed, even lower Earth systems, stations, all governments fixed, and then some. As Virgo star universe outside system and the Milky Way surrounding other galaxies were led in election ambassador partnership by Radio Starfield called systems from drone launches, first times online communication ran the universe, pure freedom, life laws. God fooled the people that needed to be and showed other power the party way. Deals made new stage, fast-paced ambassadors running. They joined united vote, saw that through it running as passing, calling by statements by affirmation of a quest positive, a statement by branding the high and lower. At the same time, craft fired its accelerators down into it in the outer system's cold, dark rock slabs building, Moses Day civilizations beneath the Templar land zone, mountain worlds with rivers going to the goldfields, mines of that belt, statues in the sun, gold mines, canyon, path marked the way up. The rains brought food, growth out here, storms for the first time, fixing farmland stations, ancient black and white pyramids, dark kingdoms, and tomb-like cold, dark rock places, palaces, vast lands like a rich Africa land, Egyptian world, and the surrounding modern worlds, leading to Mars, Planet X, pyramid, lost lands, undiscovered fields of wheat, Martian places, plains, dunes, edge, dusty worlds, dune plains beneath our universal galactic system, dark, deep dark red glowing haze worlds, lands instead of a planet landwide.